Hello everybody, today we'll move on with chapter number 4. Okay. Marketing research. Okay, with marketing research, what do we want to have here? In marketing research, the marketers want to gather information, either primary or secondary, to get fresh knowledge or fresh insights into the customer's needs and wants. So in marketing research, the very big thing for us is to find customers' insight or to understand what the customers. I realized that the word insight has happened a lot, has been very popular recently, but not a lot of us know exactly what insights are. So let's take a look at insights. So what it means by customer insight. Now, customer's insight means fresh knowledge about the customer's needs and wants, or sometimes some characteristics of the customer's behavior as well. So anything, any new information, any new learning about the customers, either from their need, their want, their behavior, or their characteristics, can be called a customer insight. And companies are trying their best to find this new information because, as we have known, marketing is all about making a product or service that satisfies an unmet or an unsatisfied need of the customers. So if we are able to find this insight, it will give the company a very good competitive advantage over competitors in satisfying their own customers. Okay? All right. So in marketing research, now what do we do here? In marketing, we have something called the MIS, which is called the Marketing Information System. Now, marketing information system helps the marketers find and analyze and report the needed information in the most systematic way. So the marketing information system has 3 main jobs. First, it wants to assess the needs for doing research, whether or not we need to do a new research, because research is expensive, it's not cheap. It can easily cost you like thousands of dollars at least for one research, for one very small research. So you have to think carefully whether or not you should carry out a particular research. And the MIS system helps the marketers, analyze and assess the needs, whether or not we should have it, we should have the research. And if you say yes, then it will help. The MIS also help developing needed information to satisfy this need, right? And once you are able to develop what information you need, you start to use them. All right. So as you can see, in the marketing information system, the most important job is here, developing needed information. So we'll look at that in more details. All right. So let's see. Now, in here, developing information. I will put it here like this, so it's easier for you to follow. All right, it's the same one. Here, now in developing information, we have what kind of information that we can develop. Now, the kinds of information we can develop vary. We have several choices here. Maybe the easier kind easier kind of information to get is from a company internal data. From the company internal data. Now, the internal data means the information that is readily available. Now, information or data that are readily available from the company. For example, if you are a supermarket and you want to know in the morning what shoppers who go to the supermarket in the morning, what they usually buy, and versus shoppers who go to the supermarket in the afternoon, like at 5 p.m. or to 6 p.m., what do they usually buy? Then those information you may not have to hand out surveys or ask people in person. You can just look up the supermarket's internal data. You can look up the people, the receipts in the morning versus the receipts of the supermarket in the afternoon, and you can see for yourself. In the morning, people usually buy like drinks and beverages, but in the afternoon they mostly buy food and groceries, for making dinner, for example. And so those information are easily gathered by the receipts from the supermarket, and we call it internal data. Information or data that are readily available. It's there. You just have to gather them. And that's the easiest and the cheapest, I guess, kind of information that the marketers can get, and we'll call it internal data. All right, moving on. Now, if we have internal data, we have kind of external data, right? Now, we also have external data, but we don't call it external data. We have something called marketing intelligence. Now, marketing intelligence. Intelligence here does not mean smart. Intelligence comes from the word CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. So they want to get, like, intelligence means they want to get the most secret and analyzed information about a certain phenomenon. So in here, marketing intelligence are the kind of information that are gathered from public sources. All right, tình báo ấy, it's kind of like that. So you gather this information. Of course, you can do this online. You can do it by reading books in the library. You can gather marketing intelligence, but even by looking at competitors' trash. Now, Unilever and P&G, they used to they used to collect the trash of each other, and then they will look at the trash and analyze and then read into it to say to see whether whether the competitors are trying to make a new product or having a new campaign and things like that. So and gathering somebody's trash to learn more about what they're doing, what they're up to, it's also a form of marketing intelligence. All right, but these seems to be rather simple, but our focus today, which is also the main topic of today, is marketing research. So you can develop information by doing marketing research. Now, marketing research is a very, very complex kind of activity. As you may know, you can spend months or years and a lot of money into conducting the marketing research. So let's look at the types of marketing research. What are the types of marketing research? We have the easiest one, I think, or the most basic one to do is exploratory. Usually people who do exploratory research in the very first phase of their research process. A company can carry out like a year-long, 2-year-long marketing research project. And in the first phase of the project, they may conduct an exploratory project where they want to have like a general picture of what they're going to research in more details. So exploratory give general information about a phenomenon. General information of a phenomenon. When you want to explore it a little bit, when you are from the unknown to know, then you need to explore them. So an example of exploratory research is when I did some project with a beer brand in Vietnam. So this beer company, they're new in Vietnam and they really want to understand the Vietnamese market. They want to understand the Vietnamese consumers in regarding to consuming beers. So the first time that they came to Vietnam, they conducted exploratory research. They explore into what? Now the beer. They usually think about, what does beer means to drinkers or to the Vietnamese consumers, what beer means to them, and what kind of brand perception that these drinkers have. The brand perception is of brands. They want to look at how customers perceive different brands. They're perceiving different brands, like in Vietnam we have like Heineken, we have Carlsberg, we have Tiger, all those brands. They want to see how the Vietnamese consumers are understanding and are viewing these brands, because they are going to be competing with these brands. So you see, now these two objectives seems to be very, very primary. They just answering these questions will give you a very general picture of what the beer industry and what the consumers in Vietnam think about beer. So that we call this an exploratory research. And to answer what beer means to drinkers, in Vietnam we think of beers as something more of a thirst quenching. It's a thirst quenching kind of beverage, and also it helps us socialize. Beer is a means for us to get together with friends and talk. So that's beer to Vietnam. Maybe in other countries they may think of beer as a liquor that they can get drunk on. They party hard, they want to get drunk. That's they use beer. But in Vietnam, not so much. In Vietnam, beer is more like a lighter alcoholic beverage to help people socialize. Right? So that's what we get from the research. And brand perception, I will keep that because this information are confidential. Alright. Moving on. After you did exploratory research, you may want to move on to the next phase. And many companies they may stop at exploratory if they feel like, this market. After they did this exploratory research and they have a general picture of what the business is like, of what the consumers are like, and they may feel like it's not very suitable with our product, with our services, then they may stop. All right. Or they run out of money, they can stop too. But ideally, companies would move on to phase 2. Phase 2 we call descriptive research. Descriptive research, as the name may suggest, you use to describe a phenomenon. Describe a phenomenon in details. Okay, so suppose that I now understand about beer's perception, brand's perception, and beer drinking, beer meaning to Vietnamese drinkers. Now, what else do I want to know? I really, really want to have descriptive information about how a typical Vietnamese drinker drink their beer. Say at a beer place, or at a beer restaurant. So that's descriptive. Maybe describe. In example could be describing drinking habits. Beer drinking habits of a typical drinker at a restaurant. Now, usually, what they do here, first they may describe. First, they may order their favorite beer, Okay, and then they bring for the first round, and then some food, and then for the second round, maybe there's some PG up here, and then they have the second round with the new beer that this PG introduced. And then they have, eat some more, have a third round, and then they pay. For example, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These can be the 6 steps of a typical drinking behavior from a typical Vietnamese drinker. Yes, and looking at this, the beer company can understand more about the habit. And if they want to have a PG, like a promotional girl, they should think about this promotional girl to appear in the 4th or the 5th step, because generally in the first round the drinkers are still very sober and they would like to drink their favorite and their most familiar kind of a beer brand. But then when they get a little bit tipsy and then when their friends are gathered, they tend to become more easygoing and more generous. And now is the best time for our PP to appear and to smoothly persuade them to use our new brand of beers. Right? So that's something we can learn or can benefit from this research. Okay. So moving on. Now, exploratory, descriptive, and another kind of research which is quite difficult to do, that is a causal research. And this one is from the word cause. What caused this phenomenon to happen? So in this one, you want to find the link between the cause and effect. Thì các bạn làm cái research là nhân tố tác động đến cái gì đó. Right. So you want to find, you may be able to observe the effect and you want to find the cause for that effect. Okay. This is the most difficult one because you may have many different causes, but you are not sure which one of them cause the effect or the weight of that impact of each cause. Then you may have to have like a hypothesis and then you have to test them and with a large number of samples, right? And we'll learn more. You learn more about that in your marketing research class, right? So move on. So in marketing research, now I want to talk more about this one, marketing research. Okay, and I'll put it up here. So for marketing research, we have 3 kinds of marketing research. But now, for each kind, what should we do? Marketing research planning. Now there are several steps that we can use to plan a marketing research. To be exact, 4 steps. So the first step would be research methods. What kind of methods you want to use, to be more exact, this is research approach. What kind of approach you want to have with your research? Now, there are several kinds of approach. You can do it observational. Have an observational approach means that you come to the customer's natural setting and observe them. So whether or not observe the customer at a natural setting, observe shoppers going to a regular supermarket, or you can observe them at a simulated environment. Simulated means that you want to create something similar to the natural setting, but in a controlled environment, right? And that's called simulated. Because you want, most of the case, because marketers want to control some of the element of the environment, that they cannot do that in a natural setting. So they will simulate it, simulate the environment, and then control some of the setting to see, maybe to see if any change will impact the customer's behavior. All right, now observational, or we can have others like experimental. You want to experiment. Now again, especially works for causal research, when you want to find the relationship between the cause and effect. Experimental research, in a book that I recently read, they will try to experiment the honesty of students. Now, how does the author do this? He hypothesized that he suggested that students will cheat more when they are tired. Okay, will cheat more on exams when they are mentally or physically or both tired. So what did he do to experiment? He divided students of one class, randomly into two different groups. And one group, he gives them an exam and then leave the room. Okay, and then he will have he doesn't have camera, but let's say he has camera in the room and he can tell, a secret camera in the room, and he can tell which group is, if anyone is cheating in the group. And then he also have the second half of the class. He usually gives them he gave them a very long survey before they take the exam to wear them out mentally, to make them feel tired mentally. And also he may ask them to do some physical exercise, like to run, one round around the school campus before they do the exam. So, and after all those, mental and physical exercise, he gives them the exam, just like the exam that given for the previous group. And guess what? The second one cheated way more. A lot more people cheated on that exam, on that same exam, with the same group of students. So after the experiment, we can tell that we cheat more when we're tired. But that's why a lot of us, you may have been through a diet. Okay, like I have been trying to cut back on the thing that I eat for the past week or for all my life. But yesterday I was really tired. I did a lot of things and I was tired mentally and physically. And know what I did? I gave up. At 11 p.m. last night, I had a bowl of instant noodles with hot dogs. So I gave up because I was so tired. I did not have any strength to keep up with my diet. So I cheated with a bowl of instant noodle, which is very bad. And so you see today I'm kind of bloated because of that noodle. And so you see it's a very interesting phenomenon to observe. And we, as a marketer, we can strengthen our argument by conducting experimental research, right? So people will be more convinced of our observation, of our suggestion, all right? So that's experimental, or you can do it by surveys, all right? You can give people questions and ask them questions, and they can fill out a form. A good thing about survey is you can ask a lot of people at the same time, especially when you do an online surveys. And there's a lot of platforms that allow you to do an online surveys. All right, so let's move on. Number 2, should I erase the board? No. Okay, number 2 is contact methods. Now, for contact methods, there are different ways that we can contact contact here means contact the consumers or the sample, our sample, who we want to contact. Now this we can choose different way. For example, we can do it by phone, by email, online, or do it personal. Now personal, there are several ways. For example, in-depth interview, in-depth interview, When we in-home visit, in-home visit, we would come to the customer's house and observe and ask them questions and also observe their habits if you want to. And we can have